Turns 11 in 2 weeks, and he has been begging and begging for years to get a dog. Forget the fact that we already have a cat, and she's a very interesting cat. He wants a dog. My husband does not want a dog. I am not a dog person. How is our son going to convince my husband, who is adamant we do not get a dog, to let us get a dog? Simple. We put together a proposal for it. This was a great educational tool for AJ to learn, being almost 11. How do you present a proposal on something that is, right now, something very much that I regret doing? We went through several steps on here's information that we need to provide Dad for this, and what is going to be good about it, and what is going to be not so good about getting a dog. So today I wanted to tell you guys what we went through in that process, coming from an 11-year-old perspective. Granted. For years and years, since my son is adopted, he's been saying he wants a brother or a sister. I can't have kids. It's not going to happen. We're not going to get him a sibling unless he can get his act together and create more responsibility. So AJ's justification for getting a dog is that, for one, he's not going to be asking for a brother or sister anymore, and two, he's going to be learning responsibility. The responsibility he is going to be taking on this dog is taking it for walks, feeding it, cleaning up the waste in the backyard, and whenever we are taking walks, and being able to play with it. He gets very upset when he can't have play dates with his friends. He gets very upset when his friends are away at summer camp, or if they want to do, other activities not involving AJ. So having the dog, in addition to responsibility, will also give him a playmate. Someone that he can actually touch and hang out with without clawing him. With our cat, he smothers her, and she does not like that. The dog handles it okay so far. So far. But putting together some of those pros on here's what I'm going to learn, and here is what it's going to teach me, really got him to think, am I ready to have a dog? Do I have responsibility? I can't even keep my room clean right now. How am I going to take care of another living creature without it dying like my fish did? So he is doing a great job learning responsibility. Now, the downside to having a dog, especially the one that we have, is it pees everywhere in the house. And I mean everywhere. Even in spots I don't think it can get to, it somehow does. So he is learning how to deep clean carpets. He is learning how to mop kitchen floors. He is learning how to take the little plastic baggies and pick up waste in the house and dump it and then clean and sanitize everything. So even though there's a downside to it, there's also the upside, because he is learning household responsibility, and he's learning how to clean up after not only himself, because he has to keep his toys and little things that this dog can chew on and eat picked up when he scatters stuff everywhere, but he's also having to learn how to clean up after another creature. And those are valuable skills that he was able to say, Dad, look at what I'm going to be able to learn by taking care of this dog. Now, my husband still said, no, we're not going to get a dog, because I am going to end up cleaning up after it. And I am going to end up doing everything that you told me you were going to do, but you are not doing. So AJ wrote up a contract between him and his dad, saying, I will clean up after the dog. I will take care of him. I will feed him. If I need help, I will ask Mom, not Dad. And if I don't, I lose video game time. And for him, that was a huge step, because this kid is massively addicted to Fortnite right now, and you cannot pull him away from the PlayStation unless he has some kind of justification for it. So for him to say that shows me that he was really passionate about it. Now, as we're writing this, he had to present it to my husband, and he learned two very valuable skills in that. Number one, it all depends on attitude. At first, our husband said, no, we're not going to do this. AJ, instead of getting extremely upset, going off and crying, he took a deep breath. He said, okay, Dad, I see you're busy. Can I talk to you about this later? Travis said, all right, let's do it. So a couple hours later, when Travis had a moment to just sit and think, AJ presented the same proposal again, and that went much better. So he learned time is very important. You have to acknowledge the time that the other person has, and you have to pick the right time to present this proposal. All in all, it went very well, and tomorrow we are formally adopting a 2-year-old purebred Chihuahua that pees on everything, but is the sweetest, most loving dog that AJ has fallen in love with. And now he is still struggling picking up after the dog and cleaning up after it, but he's learning. He's really putting the effort into it. And it just warms my heart to see the two of them cuddling and sleeping together at night. And I've never seen this kid so happy. So if you need something or you want something, write a proposal about it, present it with a good attitude at the right time, and cross your fingers, you'll get what you want. All right, Toastmaster, shake, shake, shake. A minute to fill out your evaluation forms.
Sure.
All right, let's have John come on up to lead the evaluation session.
Okay, Sarah, I think this is a wonderful speech, and I thought that you made some good points about your son AJ and the things that you're working with him on, particularly the proposal and the contract. I don't ever remember growing up being involved in anything like that. A couple of things. You did move down and you got engaged with us. I would have liked to have seen a little more movement. I think that even if you walked all the way down to Shushan and turned around and come back out, you're still engaging the audience. The second thing that sort of struck me is I think you kept changing in your speech, whether this was in the proposal stage or whether you already had the dog. Because it seemed like part of it, I got the feeling that you already had the dog in your house because you were talking about it peeing on everything and doing all of this. And then yet you're saying you're still getting ready to adopt the dog. And so there was a little bit of mixture in there. And so I wasn't for sure yet whether you have the dog or you don't have the dog yet. So that would be one thing that, if you could clean that up a little bit, I think that would add impact to your speech. With that, I'll open it up for other comments. Reed, you always have good comments.
Thanks, John. I was with you on that as well, the timeline and the reveal. Part of this is the reveal, right? If you're setting us up saying, my son wants a dog, then there's going to be that reveal of, hey, it didn't happen or did happen. We're anticipating that it did, but the timeline of going through and all of a sudden in the middle of it saying, oh, here's the dog and he's peeing everywhere, I think was, for me, it was anticlimactic, right? It was that, oh, she revealed it already. So I agree with John from that standpoint. The proposal and the contract are two pieces that I think are really key to this. And I like the concept that it's more businesslike, you know, but give us a hint of why this is big. Is it because of you that was the one doing the contract? Because you do proposals in business? How is that? Because it's not typical for your family environment, right? So play with that one. What I was waiting for was at the end, though. I wanted a new proposal. I wanted something to end it with, but we're not sure what to do with the proposal about the horse. Or, you know, something like that. Just that now he's got the proposal, mine thing, now it's like, now get another proposal, another.
And it might even be, instead of saying that what he's learning, he's not going to ask for a sibling anymore, you could play that into I'm proving I'm responsible. Now you need to get me a sibling. Since you mentioned that earlier, that would be a good tie-in.
Goodness, yeah. Now, I'm not sure, did I hear you say, this I'd have to go back to the video, I'm not going to have a sibling?
No, she said a child she couldn't have.
Okay, so I tricked myself because I heard you say that you weren't going to have a sibling.
No, she said.
Instead of having a
he's
child,
not
that it was
Yeah,
the.
no, she said he's not gonna have a sibling, I cannot have a child.
Okay,
Yeah, and then just to go on with the timeline, is we had fostered him for the last 2 weeks, and we're formally adopting him, so it's just a trial.
Okay.
And so
But I just didn't
that was
say that.
a piece that needed to be added, that
Yeah.
he got trial, or he got temporary approval.
Yeah.
He was approved for a pilot program.
yes, there you go.
And,
There could be some fun humor with that one too.
Yeah.
yeah, and I would be interested in knowing, like, the contract, because you said, you know, he proposed, he learned the timing and all that. But how did the contract come about? I mean, did he come up with, did you, like, you know, how did that contract part, and how did your husband react to that? Like, how did that go down, kind of, like, is what I would like to know.
Yeah, where'd that come from? Is this something you learned in school?
No,
know,
he
I-
figures out stuff like that.
Okay.
He's a smart kid, it's not genetic.
Well, it's,
It's not
it's environment, Sarah, it's environment.
You know, there were a lot of opportunities, I think, here for some really interesting dialogue. That often you described a conversation, and you could have created the dialogue and played both characters, and that would have added a lot. Because I kind of knew there was, I kind of was envisioning the dialogue that was going on. I think you could have had a lot of fun with that, being dad, being.
But the one thing I would like to have seen was your perspective. You said, I don't want, I said, I can't believe I did this. But what lesson did you learn from this? And taking the step that says there's a lot of times when as parents, we do things that we don't necessarily want to do.
For the benefit of it.
And what did you learn from that as well? And from a parenting perspective, it's like, you know, here is, you know, a great thing that you've done with your child, and thinking outside the box and allowing that, tapping into that intrinsic motivation of your son is powerful.
I think you bit yourself in the behind. You gave up some of your time. Honey, we wanted more. That's the plain and simple. We have all these wonderful suggestions that I have a feeling you could have done if you hadn't given up some of your time. I think you should have stuck it out and given us the full thing, because it was great fun just looking at you and your joy in the speech and the conversational style. You really were having a good time with it, and therefore we were as well. The structural things could have been remedied if you'd kept your time. That's all. You needed to rush.
And I'd like to see you do it again. We so often
Yeah, we miss.
Yeah, me too.
Give a speech, get the feedback, and then it goes off into.
And this is a really fun one that,
I think you could work
Okay.
on that and perfect that and.
absolutely.
I think it's so awesome that I even thought like, I want her on my podcast. Seriously, it's a really awesome topic.
All right, you've got a lot of comments,
Yeah.
particularly on the timeline and bringing in the fact that you fostered the dogs for a couple of weeks. One little suggestion, in the contract, did you put a statement in there that said you can amend the contract? It would be nice if your son and his dog went to training class where he learned how
Yeah.
to work with the dog and stop some of the activity that's going on with the
Yeah.
dog in the house.
Yeah, we don't have it in the contract, but that's something that we're gonna be doing anyway.
Yeah.
Amendment. Teach
That
about
that
it.
dialogue would have been great too,
Yeah.
Help me welcome Sarah
and
back.
have him read it. Yeah.